DeSean now squeezes, steps up in the pocket. LA can run. Inside the 10. Head first. He flies off the 5-yard line. My goodness.
Rushing 4, ball comes out of the hands of Newton. It's on the ground and still on the ground. Picked up by T.J. Ward at the 4-yard line.
Manning out of the gun. Manning lets it fly. It's caught by Thomas. There's the record for Peyton Manning.
The Broncos have been in 3 overtime games this year. They won them all. Got him at the 40. It's Thomas at the 50. Stiff arm gun. Free to the 30. To the 20. Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on to New England. They win it on the first play of overtime.
And welcome to the show. My name is Mundungus Creevy, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host Glenn and Mr. Wedding Bells Boggins. And you are currently tuned into the 5280 podcast on the MHRT Network. We are a fan-led Broncos-based podcast, filling you in on all things Denver Broncos. How we doing?
Dude, with this list of hot topics to discuss, I mean, of course we're doing great. Are you kidding me?
Good Lord.
I'm just glad we have things to talk about.
Boggins is like packing for a honeymoon. He's got all sorts of things going.
My mind's out the door. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. My mind's out the door.
Not even a little.
I get married in 10 days. I just we're in the final stretch, pretty much getting everything wrapped up. Now it's just just like all the little things, and I just want to be out of there on the honeymoon, just chilling for 2 weeks. Maybe I'll call in from the honeymoon one of these days.
Plus, he's trying to figure out
if you want to stay married, you won't do that.
That's fair. That's fair.
Mike, he's still trying to figure out how he breaks it to his fiance that he spent the caterer's money on Seahawks Broncos tickets.
Yeah,
right.
We don't talk about that. We don't. Savings. The savings I've taken out. The savings of the savings.
All right, so let's kick this off, and it's going to be a little bit of a downer topic, just because it's one of the first things I saw today when I went into Twitter. DT was diagnosed with stage 2 CTE. Now we know that CTE is I don't know if it's a mental. Is it a mental illness? Is that what it's claimed as, or traumatic brain injury, something like that?
It's this brain damage caused by, being hit in the head, and it's prevalent with football, with soccer, with MMA. It's we watched in our opening, and there's Jim Nantz describing Tebow to DT, and DT ending that game. And when you read the Times article and you see what his life was like those last year and a half, and the isolation that he ended up being in, just the way he passed, just as things that happened as far as the theft after his death, it is so sad for somebody that seemed to bring so much happiness to anyone around him. Children around him seemed very selfless. It was an unfortunate diagnosis. I do give credit to his mom and dad for being willing to donate his brain to the organization that studies it, and for allowing those types of results to be released. But it's sad, and it just brings I keep saying sadness, but it brings the sadness back that we all experienced when he passed.
Yeah, and I definitely think that we can all agree that the NFL needs to dig into CTE more. They need to take it more serious, whether that's working on better helmets to absorb the hits, or helping with medical expenses afterwards, or making it easier as far as the process goes of getting looked at if you have any doubt or question on whether you have CTE, or all the above. The NFL just needs to take it a little bit more serious, because I'm going to assume, and I read a tweet from a former player. I don't remember who it was. I'd have to look, and I'll let you guys know. But he was talking about how there's literally hundreds of former NFL players that potentially have it that just are afraid to bring it up or mention it or go to the doctors for it. There's some that have been flat out denied, saying, no, we're not going to cover that, or, something along those lines. It's just, it's really bringing to attention that the NFL needs to take it more serious.
Absolutely.
So going from that, I know that kind of started off low, but
Mike, he's there. He's such a presence in our opening because of his career, his smile, that season, that finishing play. It's just I think it's important that we also remember him
how he
that.
played with the greatest Broncos quarterback ever in Tim Tebow.
How he made that.
Shout out to Lindsay Peebo.
She would be furious. She would say it's Trevor Simeon.
Oh, okay. So I kind of want to go from one Broncos pass catcher to another potential one in Greg Dulcich. And this was brought up on Broncos Country Tonight a couple weeks ago, and we hadn't gotten to it yet. Do you think that this season Greg Dulcich becomes tight end 1? Or do you think it stays Albert Okwuegbunam?
See,
It's being names, long. I tell you.
It's been too long. You turned into the commentators.
Albert O. Now I don't know how to say Okwuegbunam.
And Madden. No one can say it.
It happens.
I don't know. I think he does have a higher draft pedigree. And you kind of got to take that into account. And he's a solid tight end. But on paper, Albert Okwuegbunam, so see what I did there? He's faster, he's bigger, he's stronger. So it's not like I don't see. I think people are getting real excited about the potential for Dulcich.
See,
that's the easy one. You got messed up on. I know that Daniel Jeremiah loved him coming out of college, like loved him coming out of UCLA, but I don't know. I still think it's Albert's to lose, man. To be completely honest, I'm excited to see what he can do when healthy. I think that Dulcich will be a great competition for him though, and could potentially take the spot. I think it's pretty much a coin flip at this point, but I think that Albert has a slight advantage going into the season.
Not in hair.
I think one of the things too with Dulcich and as he's very fun to watch, but if he looked like me, there wouldn't be that much buzz around him. I think his look, his swagger, the hair, the short shorts, all he's bringing to it just enhances the fact that the guy's going to be a stud player. So I'm not saying it's just the image that's the reason people are excited about him, but to completely disregard the guy that's been here, been teammates with a lot of these players for now 3 years. I think it's a little bit premature. Do I think there's a possibility that later on maybe, and also he could be tight end 1 strictly with based on Alberto's injury history. So, we'll see what happens, but it is exciting to have a second tight end that's looks like a stud like this guy.
And also historically, tight ends in their first year don't produce as well. Like, so I think you want to give Dulcich time as well. So I think that's kind of another little thing against him.
Now, obviously, we don't know exactly how the offense is going to work for the Broncos, but when you look back at the Seahawks, is tight end typically one of the positions that Wilson hits a lot, or no, because they're shortened in the middle?
No, it wasn't a ton that they hit. That's why they never really spent a ton on it, except for when they got Jimmy Graham. When they said, okay, so I guess the one time that they sold the ship for Jimmy Graham, they like to do that. They like to sell the ship for the least valuable positions. Like, they're like, tight end, give me it. Strong safety, give me it. It's just like, I don't understand.
Did you say 2 first-round picks?
Yeah,
there you go.
Done.
Well, Didn't they get Will Dissly? He was the Seahawks, right?
Yeah, Will Dissly's still there. They re-signed him. He's solid. He's okay. And yeah, him and Noah Fant now. But they've had a lot of like where Luke Wilson was there for like on and off for a while, and he was one of their most productive ones, and he was just kind of a jag. So,
well, I mean, why would you expect an actor to be a good tight end?
Yeah, exactly. So nice. Give him 2 L's.
Let's get some of these comments here. Jeffrey Bryan going back to the DT talk. To put this all in the NFL is unfair. These players have been smacked in the head since Pee Wee ball. It needs to start at the beginning levels. I agree. I do know that there is a lot more emphasis on tackling properly in the Pee Wee leagues and the younger leagues. I also know that they don't hit as hard in the Pee Wee leagues as they do in the NFL. So that is something.
It's all relative, though. It's per.
Yeah.
I mean, size to size.
Yeah, I think, and I could be wrong.
Exactly. I'm acting like it's a little kid hitting Aaron Donald.
I very much remember playing Pee Wee ball and getting lit like kids like using strictly their helmet, like no tackling technique whatsoever, just straight head helmet to helmet, and just seeing all the stars. Like I had heard before, like seeing stars. What's that? Oh, okay, there they are. So it's very much a thing.
No, I definitely agree, and it definitely does start with the little leagues and the Pee-wees, and again, I know they're working on tackling reform and making sure that's all right. I'm not going to sit here and say that we've got all the answers. If the NFL wants some suggestions, we'll give them some, but that's about the best we can do. Let's see here. Tommy Simmers says, "Why would we be expecting a rookie to perform to tight end one standards? It's proven to be a position that takes more time to adjust to NFL level than others." Agreed. It was just a question. There's not a whole lot to talk about. I'm making stuff up. Leave me alone. Dreamweaver, Chip Kelly players scare me a tad because it's so different than normal offensive schemes in the NFL.
What was that again? I forgot. I was saying Dreamweaver. I wasn't paying attention.
Chip Kelly players scare him because
that's your first dance, which is cool.
They're so different than normal offensive schemes in the
NFL. Yeah, sure. I'll give you that one. I mean, I also don't think I think that tight end is also one of those transferable positions in the NFL that takes a little while to get as well. So, but I think he's athletic enough to be able to do it after the season.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it depends on the quarterback you have. Like I know that a tight end is going to be more successful in the first year with a Tom Brady as opposed to Lamar Jackson or Aaron Rodgers.
I just
maybe not Lamar, but Aaron at least.
I just think, contrary to popular belief, I think tight end is probably one of the most versatile positions because you have to do. You're so dependent on scheme. 2, so dependent on I guess the scheme again, but just like how they use you. Are you more of a vertical tight end? Are you more of a pass blocking? But you still have to do all of it. So it's just like depends on how you do. Like, are you more of a possession tight end? There's so many different aspects to it.
Yeah.
So was Russell not? Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say Mr. Orange brings up. I mean, we haven't seen Albert Okwe, but I said it right that time. With a good QB either, like the wide receiver, seems he may also see a good jump in play as well, and that's
100%.
So Mr. Orange clearly runs the U.S. Open Twitter account, but so with Russ not throwing a lot to tight ends in his past, but knowing that Pete Carroll was very hung up on the run game more than the pass, what do you think the tight ends are going to play? What kind of part are they going to play with Russ and with Hackett this year?
I mean, I honestly think they're gonna use them quite a bit. I think that people have been disregarding him so much because of Russell's history in Seattle and his lack of use of the middle of the field. But I just think Hackett is very aware. I don't think they would have picked up another tight end that high of a round to just use him as a decoy or just not utilize him very often. And I think that Albert O is of the same skill set. So I think they have two very athletic tight ends that they want to keep and want to produce with. So yeah, I think that they're going to have quite a bit of an impact. I just think, like, if you're going to ask who is, like, tomorrow, if they started tomorrow, who's going to be your tight end one, I'd probably say Alberto.
Fant is just bummed that he's not getting this opportunity for sure.
Oh yeah, he's so pissed probably.
You have to think so. And even like, especially like not on offense, but Shelby Harris, like he's got to be pissed too.
Oh yeah, all of them. I'm sure all of them were very upset when it's like, finally we get a quarterback. Oh, I'm leaving. Okay, well, yeah,
well,
I'm glad you guys got
I don't know if Locke was so excited, but
he was probably
excited about the trade.
Imagine getting a chance. You're like finally leaving a team that you're like, oh, I got to go to a place maybe with the core. Oh, I'm getting traded to the Seattle Seahawks, and Drew Lock he's coming with me, huh? Oh, okay. Well,
okay.
Well, and then what's the other team? They get Russell. Okay. Well, huh. All right. Well, I might retire tomorrow. That's fine.
I mean, we won't insult Drew Lock very much. We'll leave that to the U.S. Open. We'll let them do that.
Hey, Drew got him back.
It was so funny that like people got so mad when he's sitting at the tennis court.
Yeah.
So in regards to that, can Bronco fans stop acting so holier than thou, like outraged that Drew Lock would be so disrespected? Like, I did not hear one of them say, what? We got Russell Wilson, but we had Drew Lock. Not one of them was disappointed to see him be shipped off. So
that's called
the fake outrage.
Free publicity, man. That's expensive stuff. Free publicity right there. Nobody's thinking about Drew Lock, and then the U.S. Open jumps in.
But I love DK Metcalf because he didn't even defend him. He just said, "We get it. Like, I hear you, dude. I understand 100%."
And then like the Seahawks responded with like a sleeping emoji, like everyone's sleeping on Drew Lock, and it's like you're actively trying to trade for Baker Mayfield. Like, why are you even chiming in? But I will
said today that is not a thing.
I'll say Pat McAfee had a big thing on his show about Baker Mayfield. There's no chances he's getting traded to Seattle or traded at all.
Rappaport said that. Yeah.
Which doesn't make any sense. Like for Baker, and I don't mean to get off on a tangent, but Baker Mayfield makes sense in Seattle.
Poor Browns fans, man. You're just so terrible for so long. And then you see the light. You see the light at the end of the tunnel. And then ownership is like, you know what? No. We're going to just mess this up so badly that you will have to go into the pit of misery for the next 15 years. Just more.
Yeah. Well, and on that we've got, and
I'm surprised they didn't say 15 to 30 years.
Well, on that we had the hearing for DeSean Watson, the disciplinary hearing, is done. And so now we're waiting on word of what it might be. I keep hearing that the NFL is pushing for a minimum of a year.
Mm-hmm.
Do you actually think that happened? I think it should be like 2 years to like infinite. Don't let him come back.
Yeah, I think it'll probably be like a year. It's just weird though. Like, what do you do? Like, he is a very, very good player, and you bring him in, and it's like, but you don't want him back because he's not a good person. So you're just like, as a organization, like what I would love to see what Jimmy Haslam really has to say about this, like how he like justifies this at all. It's like, oh my gosh, like I get it. Bad.
I want to see
bad stuff, but he's really good.
So like he gets paid $1 million this year because they figure he's going to be suspended, right? And then it's like $43 million after that. Let him play this year, suspend him the next 2 after that.
Well, that's the thing though. That's how shady Haslam was. He set up his contract because he knew that he'd probably be suspended a certain amount this year. So all the suspension money would reflect on this first year, which is going to be nothing. And that's what they planned for. That's how dirty and gross this whole thing is. Like,
well, Haslam's defense was, "Hey guys, I had no idea this was happening. I was too busy screwing my regular business associates and letting those executives go to jail for it."
Like, can you, if this was the Broncos, I'm not gonna lie to you, I might bail for a while until there's new ownership, because that's just like, it's just like gross. Imagine being a part of that organization. I would not be able to root for something like that, dude. So crazy.
Well, and you sit here talking about character issues and wanting to have a good character team, and then you go and sign DeSean Watson. Like, kind of the opposite of what you're talking about.
In the worst way.
Yeah.
Give you all the not only give you all the money, but you said no to us? Well, we'll throw you a blank check, and only $1 million the first year in case you get suspended. I know whatever you did. And you get like a ridiculous guarantee where we're gonna screw the whole rest of the league. Maybe not even screw the whole rest of the league. I guarantee they're so dumb that you won't see it for another like 10 years.
Yeah. So how many massage therapists did you contact over the last 18 months? How many is too many? I mean, 75 is too many for me. Well, how about 66? Like,
how about we pay you $1 million for every accusation? We'll give you $1 million for every.
Well, like the whole disciplinary thing kind of is weird, because it's like, so the NFLPA, right? The Players Association went to bat for DeSean Watson to make it so that he didn't get a punishment. Well, I understand your job is to protect players, but why? Why? No, no. Like the NFL has been very spotty on how they handle different situations and punishments. But I think this one you have to break down to, like, you're going to have a riot on your hands from NFL fans if it's anything less than a year. Like it has to be. Like, there's going to be a public relations nightmare if you don't give this guy at least a year.
This is why I'm glad to be a Broncos fan. Hey,
and I haven't looked at NFL Shop, but it'd be interesting to see if they sell like the DeSean Watson jersey in like the women's style, because that would be I'm being serious. Like, who would be buying that? What dad would be buying this if you have daughters or you care about women in your life? It's it's bad.
All right, so on to happier topics. Russell Wilson and Ciara were out in, was it London all week? Like last week, 2 weeks?
I can't keep up with it. He's just screwing up the season traveling.
Well, first they were, I know, right? First they were hanging out with Hackett and his wife.
All that jet lag's going to compile.
And then the next day they were hanging out with George Lucas and Melody Hobson. Like, how jealous is Nathaniel Hackett right now?
Yeah.
Russell Wilson and Ciara were sitting and sharing a table with George Lucas, with Star Wars.
Well, I think I don't know if he's met him. He's been to the ranch. I've heard Hackett say, but
it was a tour of some sort.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he'll obviously get to meet him soon. I don't think it's that big of a deal. And Russ is just doing his not pressers, but his PR stuff right now. You know what I mean? Getting around, making a name. I mean, which is good for Broncos country, man. Like,
no, he's wearing himself out. So
we
start off slow and we're just gonna riot.
Then it's because he meant George Lucas.
To Mike's point, it's like I'm picturing Hackett on the plane back from Europe with his wife, and he's just like scrolling through his iPad, and then his finger stops, and his wife looks over, and she's like, "What's wrong?" And there's the picture of the four of them hobnobbing together.
And it's funny because George Lucas doesn't look too happy in that picture.
Does he ever?
Like everybody else, I know everyone else is smiling, and George Lucas is like, "I'm George Lucas.
I don't have to do anything.
I'm more famous."
He looked like
all
a
of you
fan.
Combined.
That's the funniest part, And
maybe they're playing
to change the world.
Maybe ownership is playing a game of cat and mouse with George Lucas and Nathaniel Hackett. Like, let's let Wilson go here. No, Nathaniel, you got to head home You can't meet him right now. We'll set it up later.
Maybe George Lucas just got done watching Obi-Wan. wasn't very happy.
Nathaniel like cracks open the bin in his storage bin and pulls out the gold suit, then pulls out his matching lightsabers.
Yeah,
but it is funny to see how certain media outlets really try to spin things and make it sound like that has any effect.
Oh my gosh.
On
we're not anything. Even going to give you a name. No,
it's just
media outlet. Media person.
Well,
and media is being used very loosely in there.
Fair enough.
But you know what's cool too is we're looking at that photo, and we're saying, "Oh, there's Russ with one of the new owners."
Mm-hmm.
Like we have an owner, that's so cool. Yep. We haven't been able to say that for some time.
Yep.
And it's related to Star Wars, which is even better.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Hey, at least I can have one thing relatable with George Lucas. We both married up. That is for
sure. Okay. So speaking of ownership, and this is something that we talked about a little bit beforehand, didn't really have an answer for, but it's something that I want people to think about. So Bill and Glenn are going to be covering Denver Broncos players that are not in the Hall of Fame that should be, I believe, next week. So I kind of wanted to ask the question. Now that we have the richest owner in the NFL who wields, I would say, unlimited access, unlimited resources to whatever he wants, could there be the possibility that Rob Walton would have an effect on Hall of Fame voting to get some of these old Denver Broncos players in the Hall of Fame that should be in the Hall of
Fame? I mean, maybe. I guess it just depends on who he knows and who he could push. But I don't know. I don't necessarily see him having a huge impact. I think maybe in kind of like what Russ is doing with PR work. I think maybe like in the future, like a lot of the stuff, like because the main thing with the Cowboys is the media attention. Like a lot of it, like they were everywhere, right? During those times, there were America's team. That's when it like came about. Like so they're getting a lot of these guys in that were household names. And I think that the Broncos over the years have kind of not necessarily had some that are like obvious givens, but not to the extent like if you're to compare it to Jerry Jones, like the Cowboys have had. But I think with a new owner and with like a Russell Wilson, you get more exposure, and I think that's something that could maybe contribute to stuff like that, where even older players like a Gradishar could benefit from that, where you put the team back on the map a little bit and maybe pull some names out of the old hat and readdress them.
Yeah. I think with the ownership too is the stability, just having, we've talked about it before in terms of the Saints game and the quarterback free game, and all right, we have a Hall of Famer from that game, so I guess we should stop complaining. But, that would never have happened, in my opinion, if you had a regular in-house stable ownership that could have, gotten on the horn, flown to New York, whatever they needed to do to say, this is unacceptable. I'm your boss, or I'm one of your bosses. But when you have these, who knows, they were probably fighting over which of the kids was going to call Goodell to complain about this thing. I don't know if Walton per se will be able to push it, but exactly what Boggins said is that there's this real opportunity to have a lot of publicity, a lot of notoriety. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me with Randy Gradishar, with the amount of, national games that we're having, maybe they're going to showcase some of these former players at some of these national games, maybe they start showing some of these highlights on a regular basis of these guys and how they performed and how maybe they've been overlooked. And, America's team happened over 45 years ago. It's yet people are still using that. and so many of those spots in the Hall of Fame were taken up from the 70s Steelers, the 70s and 80s Cowboys as well. I don't know if I subscribe to a Denver bias in the Hall of Fame necessarily, but there are clearly players that have been overlooked over the years that in certain cases that, we'd like to right these wrongs in relatively short order. So that's going to be a fun show for me and Bill. I love how you picked the two older guys on the network to start talking about guys that were around playing, before you guys were born. But I think that's going to be a worthwhile exercise. It should be a fun one.
I think so. I want to go back to the Ray Hass. He says, got my MHRT shirt the other day. Very nice. Thanks.
Nice,
I was very surprised at the quality of the shirts. I didn't think they were going to be as nice as they were, but they are. They fit very well.
Matt.
They stay fitted. Like, they're very soft. It's cool. Like, I love it.
I meant to get them cheap, but turns out they were actually pretty soft.
Mike,
terrible marketing.
Of course, they're going to
you.
do
Well,
the
it's
same
just like there's so many like different places you can order these shirts from. It's like some are nice, some are not. Some are in
Walmart.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything.
Sponsored. Walmart.
These
Sponsors.
shirts. I do have to say the shirts are incredibly soft and comfortable. But Mike, actually, tell him about your experience in the grocery store a couple weeks ago.
Oh, I ran into a guy that was wearing an MHRT Networks shirt.
Oh,
and we got to talking about something. I remember what it was. I was like, yeah, it's my face right on the shirt. No, it's not. I'm like, how do you not know it's me if you're buying a network shirt? There's not a lot of people that look like this.
He got it at Value Village.
Somebody's like, I don't want this anymore. Give it to Goodwill. And somebody just picked it up out of the bin.
What are the chances
your crap shirt. Get rid of this, honey.
Wow,
but no, the shirts are pretty sweet. I know I don't hype up our merch a lot, but I don't want to be a salesman. Like, if you want a shirt, go get a shirt. I'm not going to sit here and be like, get a shirt all the time. I'm not.
I will get a shirt.
There you go. That's we did it for us. Okay, so let's.
Mike was also recognized at the hotel when we were out in Colorado for the Broncos game last year.
It happens. It happens. I think it's the skunk stripe in the beard.
I got recognized as Mike too the other. No,
I'm so sorry. So
someone say daddy.
Dude, anytime anybody says that, I turn around.
Granddaddy, actually.
I'm not. I'm 36. I'm not old.
My fiance thought you were 50 something.
That's fine. That's like this is all from kids. So the more kids I have, the more gray I get.
Got it.
So moving on to the main topic of the show. And I think I know what everyone's answer is going to be, but there are 8 new quarterbacks on new teams this year.
Oh.
I want to know what quarterbacks are in the best position to win. We got DeSean Watson on the Browns. Obviously, that's because he's probably not going to play. And then you got Russell Wilson on the Broncos. You've got Matt Ryan on the Colts. Mitchell Trubisky and Kenny Pickett on the Steelers. You got Marcus Mariota, Desmond Ridder on the Falcons. Matt Corral on the Panthers. Drew Lock on the Seahawks. And Carson Wentz on the Commanders. Now, obviously, Russell Wilson's up there. Are there any other quarterbacks that are set up for success?
Matt Ryan.
I
think Matt Ryan's got a good squad around him and is really going to be really be thriving out there. Honestly, I think that team might actually take that division this year. Like, I think the only ones they really have to worry about are the Titans, and the Titans are meh right now. Like, are very in disarray right now. So
there's so many questions on them.
Yep.
They were the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
Well, but now they don't have Brown.
They lost quite a bit.
No, it's crazy. I don't think they make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, it's so. I mean, I really do think Matt Ryan is going to make a difference over there. I think it's going to be better than when they got, like, I know people are trying to compare it to when they got Phillip Rivers. Not the same. Not the same. Phillip Rivers was rough. I mean, they still got to the playoffs, but I think that Matt Ryan could take them to the playoffs and maybe actually win a game in the playoffs. That's the difference.
Well,
But,
like Matt Ryan doesn't have the
added-
receiving threats that Phillip Rivers.
That's not true. He has Michael Pittman Jr. over there. They have they still have TY a little bit. They just drafted
I thought he was a free agent. Hilton.
No, they're bringing him back, but
no, they're bringing it back. Oh my gosh, I'm losing give me 1 sec. But they have
Taylor.
the new tight end. Oh gosh. The
Jimmy Graham. He's everywhere.
The giant tight end, athletic
Evan Ingram.
that they just drafted.
Oh,
Why am I
Trey
forgetting
McBride?
his name right now?
They weren't the ones that got McBride, were they?
No. Well, they already have Mo
He
Ali
went to the
Cox, which is
Cardinals,
good,
so.
but they got Jelani Woods. Thank you. Jelani Woods over there. They also have Paris Campbell.
Kyle Pitts is at the Falcons. We're talking Colts.
No.
Yeah, they're saying Kyle Pitts. No, we're talking Colts.
Yeah.
Jelani Woods.
There you go.
Yeah.
but in ranking number one quarterback that has the best opportunity with their team, I think.
Oh, Russell.
It's Russell in a
You
way.
have to, right?
Yeah, I wasn't saying that was number one. I'm just saying
Right.
that Russell. Yeah, Russell is definitely number one. But I think that one that is overlooked is Matt Ryan for sure. The rest of them.
So what do you think about Mitchell Trubisky or Kenny Pickett with the Steelers?
Although I think Kenny Pickett is. It was funny. My fiance was looking at. I don't know where it popped up the other day, but it was top selling jerseys, NFL jerseys, and Kenny Pickett was on there. She's like, "Who's Kenny Pickett?" And I was like, "Well,
Really?
let me tell you." And I had to talk to her about small hands and what they mean.
Well, his comes with a hand warmer, and it's really like
It's a smaller,
very narrow.
medium hand warmer. Do you have
like a
medium?
Barbie arm fit in there.
I don't think Kenny Pickett will do a ton. Tomlin hasn't been able to do a ton with his quarterbacks that he's put in there outside of Ben Roethlisberger. So I'm interested to see how that really translates. But I like they have some potential in their offense. I'm not gonna like George Pickens is good. Obviously Harris is good. Then you also have bro. I'm rusty. I'm losing all the names.
Checked out.
The other tall receiver that knelt and did a celebration with like 2 seconds left in the game on 4th down and was in it. Claypool. Gosh dang it.
There you go. Chase Claypool.
He's a top 5 receiver. Just ask him.
He's in top 3. He said top 3.
Oh,
which is
sorry.
Stupid. You're not.
But I mean, does Pickett even beat out?
I couldn't even remember your name. How are you top 3?
Does Pickett even beat out Trubisky though this year? I don't think so.
Maybe. I don't. It's kind of one of those. It's like, is Drew Lock going to beat out Geno Smith? You know, man.
Ooh.
Maybe.
I don't know.
See what I mean? It's like, also, who cares?
What about Carson Wentz on the Commanders?
Who cares? Again, who cares?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of stuff to talk about, Glenn.
I'm just saying, like in general, this is they not good. Like if you're a Commanders fan, this is not what you wanted. I can guarantee you, especially when it's in the division. He used to be an Eagles quarterback. Like, so already that team did not like him. Like, right? Like the fans did not like him as an Eagles. And then they're like, oh God, he's terrible. Watching him fall into obscurity in Indianapolis. And then you're like, we got him. I don't want this.
Yeah.
I don't want this. That's I feel like that's not good news for anybody in that organization. And that is also an organization that's going through some really rough times.
Well, I mean, that's one just based on the owner itself. Can you ever root for them? You know, you can't.
Yeah.
You know, I'm picturing him going, Commanders. I said Commandos. Get on my jet.
I don't know if that would have been any better either.
this guy's, I mean, he's as equally as a disgrace. I mean, I would love they've got to just stop worrying about the optics. The optics are already bad. Let's get, states don't want to give them funding because towards any sort of stadium. This is a team that was like one of the most heralded organizations in the NFL, successful, the Hogs, the Super Bowls, the sold out, the Sunday games against the Cowboys it was just an event. And now they're pushing for the smallest stadium in the NFL. Like, what happened here? I mean, they had a sellout streak that was like a Bronco-esque sellout streak, and this guy has absolutely killed it. Because of behavior, not because of performance on the field. It's again, let's move on.
So let me ask you a different question then.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson, I think, is everyone's pick for the quarterback that could be most improved, the quarterback that could potentially win the MVP, the quarterback that is going to the best team. Are we putting too much pressure on Russell Wilson in his first year in Denver?
Probably.
Not at all.
Because I mean that's a lofty. We're giving him some lofty expectations here.
I think. I mean, probably just because I think Broncos country is excited. I don't think we necessarily are.
No, not we, but
the general we.
We in general.
General we, yeah.
Yeah.
General gonna get flagged. Someone said we 3 times on the
yeah. No, I think probably a little bit, just because I think people are excited. I think more so. I think more so in Broncos country because of how much we were frustrated with feeling like we had everything except for a quarterback, and now that we have a Pro Bowl quarterback, Super Bowl winning quarterback, we're like, oh, sky's the limit. But I think a lot of the national media will look at it as they don't know the roster as much and are more so like, we'll see how that works out. And I think that's kind of more the where you got to be is you don't know, because in reality, Russ is coming into his first year with the team, and you still got to work on chemistry. You still got to work on, a brand new coaching staff that is very new to this as well. So I think that putting a ton, and then the division, like we don't even talk about the division. Like it's ridiculous how crazy this is. So like, I don't think that we should be expecting. I don't even think you should literally or even expect playoffs. I think you should hope for it. Yeah. But like in reality, it just could not happen, and it wouldn't mean our team isn't very good. You know what I mean? So I think that is going to be something that's going to be, I think more of our Super Bowl window is probably not this year, but the following year, I think is going to be a lot more realistic than this coming year. And I think that people should probably temper expectations for this year. The people that are really excited about it.
So as far as pressure, I don't get the impression that Wilson feels a lot of pressure. Even his answers about, why would you want to come to a division like this? And he goes, you want to beat the best, he has that mindset. Our problems the last few years were in 1-2 order were quarterback and coaching. And we have changed that. We've brought in a whole new culture. We have a GM that is making great decisions. I don't think we're putting pressure on. I think our expectations are sky high, but I feel like we have a reason for them to be. We have a great supporting cast, and now we have a Hall of Fame quarterback that can really feed these guys. And we have an offensive-minded coach that is actually taking into account what this quarterback wants to do, and they're coming up and coming up with a playbook and plays that go to those strengths. And you have a new defensive coordinator and some other holdover coaches, from the previous defense they're going to mold this hungry D with great veteran leadership. I think we're positioned to be. If we don't make the playoffs, to me, it's going to be a very grave disappointment. But I can tell you, the last few months have been very fun as far as the excitement and just the anticipation of what the season can bring.
So if we don't make the playoffs, does that fall on Wilson, or do you think the blame is going to fall on Hackett? Like, it's same thing towards Hackett. Are we putting too much pressure on him as well? as a new head coach on a new team. It's like it seems like after every season, Broncos country just splits and then goes nuts. So if we don't meet all these expectations, who's Broncos country going after?
Mike, I think a lot of it has to do with the division and the competition. I think more than anything, if we don't make the playoffs, it's going to be because the division was so formidable. We were talking about Matt Ryan. That's a crappy division for the most part. I mean, he's got 2 games against the Jaguars. He's got 2 games against the Texans. Now 2 games against the Titans. That's potentially 5-1, 6-0. Yeah. The likelihood of us going 5-1, 6-0 is very slim. There are 4 division winners. There's 3 wild card spots in each conference. It's going to be tough, but I mean, we need to start out hot because the lighter part of our schedule is the first half of the year, and we need to finish up. Even if we finish up 50-50, I think we're going to be in good shape.
What I expect, honestly, is to be competitive. I don't think that we have been over the last year. It's been the defense. We've been used to the last 6 years having to keep us somewhat in games. But I think that now that we actually have a quarterback that can put us over that hump, we haven't had a quarterback like this since, honestly, 2014 Peyton. Mm-hmm. So it's something that we could potentially have this high defense and this offense that could also take us over the hump. So I'm expecting us to be very competitive in games. It's that, like Glenn was saying, that division that's just going to be the real question, and that tail end of our schedule that's going to be really tough.
You know what, though, on the flip side, I really believe that it's not just the fans that are feeling this way. I feel like it's the players. Anyone that's been on the team that's not a rookie is feeling the same way as we are, I think. And that's what's kind of exciting. You're hearing them talk, and the way their answers are different than they have been. And when they talk about the differences between, and they're trying to tiptoe around the fact that they're not trying to insult the previous coaches and things like that. But each of them has something that they're saying that this new culture is enhancing their chances. And for me, that's really exciting. I mean, the players have already bought in, and we're not even at training camp.
Shadowjacker asks, would you rather make the playoffs or sweep the Chiefs?
Playoffs.
Okay. You're muted.
Playoffs.
Are you burping? What's going on?
Playoffs.
Playoffs.
We elbow them in the groin in the playoffs. I'll mute myself again.
So that is going to just about do it for our show. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, turn on notifications so that you can know when we post and when we go live. Also, make sure
buy some merch.
You turn into our other podcast, the Wild Wild West podcast, on Wednesday at 7:30, 6:35, 34:30, and Broncos Breakdown with Bronco Bill every Friday at 2, 1, 12, and 11. Make sure you're tuning into those. We are going to go ahead and step on out of here. Thanks, guys, for joining us, and go Broncos. Goodbye, everybody.